So, Joe, the new college football 25 game came out, and I had to pick where I was going to start off my first dynasty. Now, I'm going to obviously do one with LSU. That one doesn't count. Where was Blake Ruffino going to go to start his dynasty? I landed on Liberty. And I got to admit, now we're going to continue on our deep dives here and get back to reality and not a video game. Joe, I got to admit something. I'm a Liberty fan now. They have, and I'm being honest when I say this, I legitimately did not realize the speed that they had offensively. Like, we're talking about world-class speed on the offensive side with Cooley, with guys that they have outside. And by the way, Joe, you might have – look, he might be a top 5 quarterback at the end of the year when we're talking about draft projections. What's going to happen with Kaden Salter? I look at their schedule. Joe, Kaden Salter is going to go off. You're talking about a guy that had 1,000 yards rushing, close to 3,000 yards passing a year ago. You're talking about a guy that had double-digit rushing touchdowns and 32 passing touchdowns. Joe, I'm going to say this. You're going to say I'm crazy. They're a playoff lock to me. I would be stunned if they're not the team coming out of the G5 or the mid-majors that make it to a playoff.
So first of all, not shocking that you picked the easiest cheat code of a team for your G5 team in Dynasty mode. Like, you picked the easy starting point.
Who won when we played in New York? Who won?
Pick Kennesaw State. See if you can turn Kennesaw State.
Well, I beat Kennesaw State by 63. But when we played one another, who won?
Exactly. This plays into my point, though, that this Liberty roster is a rare grouping of talent. It's just one that we don't see on a G5 team. And frankly, it's weird to talk about them because I think the national landscape is not exposed to them because they don't get a lot of premier national games. Sometimes they get those Tuesday games, those midweek games, which are fun to watch. I really loved watching them play in the middle of the week because they can put up some points. They throw the ball around the yard. They were kicking people's asses.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. If you don't know about the Liberty as a university, they've got a lot of money, a lot more money than you think that they do, and they are spending it. They're recruiting at a ridiculously high level with the money that they have. They are rapidly growing from being a moderately unknown FCS team to being one of the better FCS programs to where they are right now. They have rapidly improved because they are committed to making this team better. To get to your point, though, of them being the playoff lock, there could be other teams, and I think Boise State's one that comes into the mix, which we'll do eventually, but they have some question marks. Liberty has a massive advantage because their schedule is ridiculously easy. That's not a knock on Liberty. That's not a knock on you guys. You do exactly what I would do when I have a G5 team in college football 25 and I want to win 12 games. I did this with Marshall, and I took a terrible Marshall team to the playoff because it's a video game, because I scheduled a bunch of FCS teams and a bunch of crappy G5 teams, and I dominated. And that's kind of, just to read through the schedule really quickly, they got Campbell, they've got New Mexico State, UTEP, Eastern Carolina, which is probably their toughest game, App State, FIU, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, which is another tougher one, Middle Tennessee, they go to UMass, Western Kentucky, and Sam Houston.
They're winning all those games.
They're going to be 12-0. I don't see a way that they slip up.
I'm not going to say that. If you get injuries, you like, anything can happen.
They're deep, though, too, man. Like, that's the weird.
Kaden Salter goes down, you're in trouble.
I mean, I don't know enough about their backup quarterback situation to.
Well, I do. Just ask if you need somebody. By the way, he was the number 1 overall pick when I played with him. Okay. Quentin Cooley, the running back. Joe, I think they have a double-headed monster at running back that you're going to have to be ready for. You know who they remind me of in a lot of ways? I'm going to remind you of a team that everyone used to love playing with. You talked about the video game. Dude, remember when West Virginia was a mid-major program? They're coming up, but they had dudes, Pat White, Austin.
Geno Smith and Tavon Austin that one year.
But they had all these, like, just electric dudes on the outside or running back. Joe, they're the new West Virginia. I fully believe that they're the new West Virginia.
I don't know if I'm ready to go there. But
well, dude,
I see where you're coming from.
God forbid if CJ Daniels, who was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, doesn't transfer, you also bring in Dante Lee at wide receiver. I'm starting to ask the question, Joe, they got dudes, bro. I mean, now, are they going into, because if they make a playoff, they'd have to go to number 5 Oregon and Eugene. They'd have to go to number 5 Texas, number 5 Georgia.
Notre Dame.
Fair. Number 5 Notre Dame, who can't be or get an automatic bid. Joe, they're not beating those teams. But don't act like that they don't. Joe, they have superior talent to the teams that they're facing in the regular season. Let me say that again. They have superior talent to the teams that they are playing, right? And I think that that's the part for me that I'm like, Joe, nobody in the conference has a better running back than them. Nobody in the conference has a better wide receiver than them. Nobody in the conference clearly has a better quarterback than them. No. Oh, by the way, Joe, they're kind of stacked along their defensive line. You're talking about a D-line that has six 4-year players or above. That's when I'm starting to look at myself and say, man, I think that they're a lock. Now, the only question would be, is it fair for a team like that with that soft ass of a schedule to make it into a playoff?
Well, this is why this is where we might lose some of the Liberty fans because they started watching.
No, saying all these nice things. It's not fair.
It is a little bit of a barnyard-ass situation that we spend all of this time for the other 11 spots in the playoff, arguing, bickering, going back and forth with one another, talking about how this team needed to have beaten that team. There is an important need for strength of schedule and to win a certain number of games, to win your conference, to establish yourself as a national power. And all the G5 has to do is find a way to put together an easy enough schedule to go 11-1. And they didn't even bother to challenge themselves and play. I'm not even saying play an SEC team. Go play like what Cincinnati did when they made it. Cincinnati played.
I mean, they played Notre Dame
and they played Indiana. They challenged themselves with two difficult opponents. They are not up to par. This is what I'd like to establish here. They're not up to par with that Cincinnati team. That is one of the greatest G5 teams that we have ever seen. The grouping of NFL talent that was on both sides of the football that moved on to the league, that's not on this Liberty roster.
No,
I'm
but
not
they
trying to crap on.
They have a potential top 5 pick at quarterback.
Let's not go that far.
Okay.
Let's
they
not
have
go
a
that far
potential
just
top
yet.
15 pick at quarterback because Joe.
They have maybe a first round pick at quarterback.
Joe,
his name has not been brought up. His name has not been brought up. Again, I argue with this. I argue with this stuff about this. I have a close enough pulse on the draft. His name hasn't been brought up once by anybody in NFL circles.
And you know what? Nobody thought that many quarterbacks would be taking the first 10 picks. Did we really think Michael Penix was going to Atlanta?
That's a bad argument. I haven't seen
it's
anyone
not a
brought
bad
up
argument.
Salter
Are you
is a great
tell me
quarterback.
that kid's not okay? You're fighting over semantics.
I'm not fighting over. You just suggested that he'd be a top 5
first round quarterback, yes or no? So where he gets slotted at?
No, because none of the quarterbacks in this class, most people haven't given them a first round grade. There's going to be a really low year for quarterbacks getting drafted.
And Cincinnati had Desmond Ridder.
He wasn't a first round pick, and that was a historically terrible quarterback class.
Thank you for making my point. When you have a dude that's as dynamic as Kaden Salter is, now I compared that team to Pat White. I see JC in the comments. He is 1,000% correct. He is not Pat White. He's a better thrower, not a good enough athlete. You can't tell me that a kid that ran for over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, and throws it the way that he does, that he is not a game changer for them. I will remind everybody.
I'm not arguing that he's not.
There were moments against Oregon that he lit their ass up.
He's a very gifted. He's a very gifted player.
So I will remind people. Okay, people want to take this team lightly. Joe, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Bottom line.
They don't have a Sauce Gardner. They don't have a Jerome Ford. They don't have a Myjai Sanders.
And none of them controls the football game more than the quarterback position does.
How many times have we seen good quarterbacks try to carry a team and it's clearly not enough when They play Alabama. What's going to happen? They play Notre Dame.
Yeah,
what's
but
going to happen?
that's not all up on him. But I also saw him play.
We have perfect context for last year with what you just said. Where in the game against Oregon, he flashed. He made some big plays. Did I
come out here and say you were comparing him to Cincinnati?
Yeah, that Cincinnati team's a lot better than this Liberty team. I'm going to keep repeating it. There's a huge
They ain't got
gap.
no Quentin Cooley. Take that to the water cooler.
Jerome Ford is a starting NFL running back.
Quentin Cooley's better.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
I just texted somebody
he had 2,500 yards in my dynasty. That's how I knew.
Yeah, okay. So this is why you're hyping them up so much. I just texted somebody and fully contextualized. No, he's not a first-round pick.
You know what? I'll do this for you. You want to make a bet?
He's too small. He's not a first-round pick.
He's 6'2", 198. What are you talking about? Too small. And
dude, those are inflated. You've seen him on film.
He's too small while fuckers like Kyler Murray is going number 1 overall. Bryce Young going number 1 overall.
Those guys are so unique compared to Kaden Salter. He's a great player, but
you want to make a bet?
You just put an unreasonable expectation on the kid. It's not fair to him. You
want to make a bet?
Go ahead. What do we want to bet?
I will remind you the last time that we placed a bet.
This one I feel really confident in.
Okay.
Make the bet.
I will wear a Notre Dame hat for a week on this show if he does not go in the first round. No, I'm not doing a month.
A month.
I'm not doing a month. A week. It's the best year.
I wore this for 6 months. I've worn this for 6. I'm going to end up wearing this for 6 months.
Take it off 6 months ago.
But I hold true to my bet. A month. I want 1 month. 1 month. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Deal. 2 weeks. If he does not go in the first round, you have to wear a Notre Dame hat for 2 weeks.
I'm gonna delete this episode if he doesn't go in the first.
You better not. I posted the goddamn clip of me saying it when I made the Jaden Daniels comment when I did.
Yeah, and dude, I gotta tell you that you made my life a living hell. And then it's funny. You can make my life a living hell, but God forbid if I make your life a living hell. Look, getting back to reality to some extent, I think that they're going to run through their regular season. I think they'll get in the playoff, and they're going to get absolutely demolished. That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't know what to make of them. I mean, Joe, they're going to be a 12-13 win team. They're going to go to Sanford Stadium and play Georgia and get the shit kicked in. And I'm going to tell you something. I hate that Liberty's going to have to be the team that the nation looks at and says
that is fair. It's really unfair is not the right word. It sucks because they're a growing, developing program with a very passionate fan base, and it is
correct.
It's going to make those that are not like us that are willing to give them a chance to even bring them in the conversation.
Oh, I don't want them in. Don't get me twisted.
Wait. Let me rephrase. People that aren't even paying attention to them are going to use that for fuel to the fire of like, these teams suck. Why are they here?
Well, let me tell you what's really gonna happen here, or what I'm gonna be screaming. God forbid they go to Sanford Stadium. God forbid they go to who's another number 5? They go to South Bend, Indiana, and they get absolutely exposed. Okay, I'm gonna be on the top of a mountain hill screaming, "Get away from automatic qualifiers." Get away from them.
I might be agreeing with you on that.
I know, and you fought me on this for a year.
No. Wait. I fought you on the fact that if you win your conference, you deserve to automatically make the playoff field. Let me ask you a hypothetical. I do not completely agree that just because you win your conference means you get an automatic bye, and I also do not agree that the G5 automatically gets in.
All right, let me ask you
like that Cincinnati team a couple of years ago.
Let me ask you a hypothetical. Who's the better team right now, Florida or Liberty?
Florida.
Okay. So we're taking a potential 5-7 Florida team that like they should be in the playoff over Liberty based off of what they have to go through and how good they are. Right? So just to put it into context of what we're trying to say here. By the way, let me throw this out there. Our good buddy Josh Pate, did you see the JP poll?
I haven't seen it right now.
Florida, if Florida would be in the Big 12, they would win the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't think that's okay. I mean, that's not a hot take.
Not a hot take at all. So again, that's the team that you're putting in there to play potentially at Georgia, Texas, Oregon, God forbid, Ohio State. Holy shit. It's going to be a bloodbath.
I'm really curious right now. I'm looking to see which G5 team has the hardest schedule. I think I'm close to finding it. Let's see.
Is it Tulane?
Tulane. It's Tulane.
Yeah, Tulane plays Kansas State and at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, Tulane. Oh, you know who's going to be the G5 team in?
Don't say it.
The toughest schedule because I believe that they're going to survive it. It's UMass. UMass is going to upset Georgia. You wait. Dude, seriously, wait. But, okay, let's move on in 1 second. I'm going to read you the UMass schedule because this is just like...
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I just want everybody to hear this just for the hilarity of what the schedule is. So they play their MAC schedule, but they host Missouri, and then they go to Georgia, and then they also play Liberty. I don't know who put that schedule together. Who said, "Hey, let's get smoked by two of the better SEC teams and the best team in the country, and then the best G5 team"?
You know what people are going to do?
What?
They're going to look at UMass and look at Georgia, Missouri, and say, "Well, Liberty beat the shit out of UMass just like those other two teams did."
Oh,
by the way, I'm already starting on my conference alignment, like where I'm going to put teams. I'm having a hard time not putting Missouri in my top 4, not because they're better than teams in the SEC. Joe, they just don't fucking play anybody. Their schedule is more favorable than anybody in the SEC. All right. I'm having a very tough time, brother. Very tough time.
Well, that's coming up next week. We're starting those previews soon.
All right.
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in, because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. The first month for only $10 when you use that code RuffinoJoe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.